उतारा। आप है पास में, आप है साथ में, आप है पास में, फिर भी प्यार से तुमको पुकारा करूं मेरे बाबा। फिर भी प्यार से तुमको पुकारा करूं मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा। मैं निराकार को देखते देखते अब तो मैं भी निराकार होने लगी। ज्योति बिंदु मेरे आपके ध्यान में, देह दुनिया का मैं भान खोने लगी। देह दुनिया का मैं भान खोने लगी। आप यूं ही पधारे इस धाम में मेरे बाबा। मैं परम धाम में यूं पधारा करूं मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा। आपसे दिल की ऐसी लगन है लगी, आप में ही है रहता मेरा मन मगन। आप धरती मेरे, आप मेरे गगन। आपसे मिल रहा है मुझे सुख सघन। आपसे मिल रहा है मुझे सुख सघन। आपने अपना सर्वस्व वारा सदा मेरे बाबा। आप पर मैं भी सर्वस्व वारा करूं मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा, मेरे बाबा।
Om Shanti, everyone. Om Shanti and loving greetings from the Abhyak Parivar room in Peace Village. We are in the middle of our retreat still. I mean, the main retreat is finished, the regional retreat is finished, and now we have our sub-regional meetings, and they are going on at this very moment. So I had to leave there and come here. But this whole topic of this month of, I wanted to share some thoughts about being introverted and also the connection that has with soul consciousness. And that's, of course, our main work. Like so many words in Hindi, they have a much deeper meaning than we have the same words in English, but this word particularly is the same meaning. The word antamukta, which is introvertness in Hindi. In English, it's introversion, which is the same exactly. It's from Latin. It means to see inside. Ver means to see. So introversion means to see inside. So in a way, if the mukh is the face, right? Antamukh is inside the face, literally. So it means that you see inside, but you also hear inside. You speak inside. Everything of the face, you turn it inwards. And so you're talking to yourself, you're listening to yourself, you're seeing yourself. And of course, that will help you to get a better position and a better perspective of the world around you. And so the word extroversion is exactly the opposite. It means to see outside. Your attention is outside. It's on people, on things that may happen or haven't happened. It's on the things that you're anticipating or expecting. So the extroversion keeps us outside of that space that we need for ourselves, that we need to cultivate within ourselves. So we really need to, when something happens, it's always good to look at yourself first. Why am I reacting like this? What is there in me that makes me feel this way? How come I'm thinking like this about this situation, about these people? So to check the self, to check your feelings, to see what things you're saying to yourself is extremely important if we want to have the get and retain soul consciousness. Is the absolute connection. And one of the things that I remember when I first came to Gyan, I was told that introversion is the mother of all virtues, because it's where, when you start to think about how you are and what you need to be internally, then you start to develop virtues. Your virtue is what connects me with what's happening outside. Between me and someone else, there's either a virtue or a defect. There's either a virtue or actually it's not really ever that there's nothing there. So I have something in me when I'm looking at someone else. And of course, that person that I see in front of me is not really the person that's in front of me. But we have to understand that, because if you ask someone, who are you, they won't have a clear answer. So there I am thinking internally, so-and-so is like this, he is like that, she is like that. But in fact, it's just my own vision, my own judgment. So absolutely, when I see myself as a soul, it's only then that I can start to see others as souls. So our main practice that Baba's teaches us, the drishti or brother, Bhai drishti, it happens when I'm looking at myself as a soul and I'm understanding myself as a soul, and therefore I'm able to see others as souls. Otherwise, it's not possible. I'm in soul conscious and everyone else doesn't, is just a body. No, I am a soul living in a world where other souls are playing their roles like me. And to different extents, we are caught up in our own roles. Now, I have to start to understand a few things about that process. And this is where the practice of soul consciousness is so important. I remember when I first started in Gyan, I started in London in 1975. So this year is 50 years. And very soon after I came to Baba, I think about 3 months, I went back to Australia, where I'm from physically. And on the way, I visited Mataban. So in 3 months, I'd already been practicing all of the principles anyway, because I was trying to follow the Raj Yoga Patanjali, which has the same principles as we do, in fact, if I take it seriously. So I was trying to practice all of that. So I understood a lot about bhakti and so on. I'd been to India before. And so I'm there in Madhuban, a very new baby, let's say. 3 months in Ghana, I'm in Madhuban. And I think the day after I arrived, I met Baba. Like in those days, anyone who was Brahmin could literally meet Baba, because there weren't many people, very few people. So I think the second day I'm in Madhuban, I meet Baba. Near Bhai had told me to go and sit in Baba's room the day that I arrived. I didn't know what that meant. In the small centre in London, I can't remember that there was actually a Baba's room. There was definitely a Muli room, which was also very small. I think totally in the Muli room in London, 12 people could sit comfortably, 12. That's how big it was. Very tiny. 12, 15 maybe. And I did not have the practice of going to, I can't remember sitting in front of a Brahma Baba's picture even when I was in those first few months. But it was just an incredible vibration. I was attracted to the vibration. I was attracted. The teachers that I had were Daddy Janki, Sister Jenti, and Sister Sudesh. So what teachers, what great teachers, and very few students and 3 fantastic teachers. And I remember when I got to Madhuban, and Nirvebai asked me to go to have an experience in Baba's room. And the Baba's room at that time was about 1/3 of the size of the present Baba's room in Pandap Bhavan. It was the original size. Over the years, they broke down 2 walls to make the Baba's room bigger. But in those days, it was quite tiny. It was like a bed and a table. And that was it. And that, of course, they'd put Brahma Baba's picture there. As far as I remember, it's the same picture today. Maybe they changed the frame a few times, but it was the same sort of picture that they still have there. And I was sitting there. I really didn't understand anything. You think about your first few months of Gyan. Did you understand much? How much did you understand after 3 months? And there I am sitting in front of Bab Dada, you know. So in that Baba's room, I really had the experience of being a soul, because I'm the soul sitting. I had the feeling, first of all, of being welcomed. I became mesmerized, that's the right words, looking at Brahma Baba's picture, Bab Dada. And you know how sometimes it seems like the eyes move? If you do something really good, Baba sort of half smiles at you from the photo. Do you have the feeling sometimes that Baba's photo is alive? And so that was what happened to me. I said, what's going on here? What is happening? So I had this feeling of being welcomed. You have arrived home. You have arrived home. And I was feeling so comfortable. And then next day, or the 2 days later, I met Baba. They took me in front of Baba, and I was the only foreigner in Madhuban at that time. There weren't any others. And Baba looked at me and he asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going back to Australia. Oh, really? So, and then he gave me some blessing to go back to Australia, because my intention was to help in the newly started centre there that they'd started a few months before in Sydney, where I'm from physically. So I was getting blessings from Baba to go there, and I really didn't know But Baba asked me, where have you arrived? Like that thing that Daddy Gozar was talking about a few days ago on Navyak Parivar. And if you say something, Baba says, fail. Remember that little class from Daddy? So I didn't. It's the first time I'm listening. Where have you arrived? Have you been here before? I didn't have a clue about what to say. Then if I'm talking, then I realize that this is not just this old woman sitting in front of me, like seeing Daddy Guzar's body. There's something very special there. And of course, Baba's whispering. So I'm having this experience that this drishti is just seeing right through me. Like feeling completely naked in front of God, like he sees everything and he still encourages you. He sees all of the bad stuff. He sees all of the potential also. But he doesn't, he doesn't give any attention to any of the bad stuff. He just sees the soul. So Baba's drishti was the experience that I had. That was when I realized that I'm a soul also. So if he's looking at me, he's not looking at my body. So he's looking at something else. He's looking at me, the soul. So I'm the soul. It was such an incredible experience. I am a soul in front of the Supreme Soul. Of course, he's using Brahma Baba's angelic costume and using the body, the physical body of Daddy Gozar. But I'm sitting there. I'm the soul in front of the Supreme Soul. Of course, there's a few other things in between, but was such an experience of being free. I am a free soul. I am free. I don't have to make efforts to become free. I already am free. So I was thinking like that. I am a peaceful soul. No, it's not that I have to become peaceful. I am. And this whole idea of awareness, I started to think about it later on, of course. At the time, it was just pure experience. It wasn't any intellectual, what happened here and, what was going on. But later on, I realized the absolute connection between introvertness and introversion and retaining the experience of being the soul. There's, for example, I have to, in order to meditate, I have to go beyond the body. I am the soul beyond the body. I have senses, I have sense organs, but I am the soul using those sense organs. To get to that conclusion, I have to go inside. I have to see myself as the soul using the body. And the only way, and Baba tells us to strengthen that experience just by being introverted. You don't need to watch everything that's happening or see everything that's happening. Our vision should be going inwards. Much later, I really had to learn how to talk about this because in Sydney in those early days, and this year they're celebrating the 50 years because we started the service in 1975. So they're celebrating 50 years of service in Australia this year. In fact, I just came from there. I spent a month in Australia before coming here. And so in those early days, we didn't have how to explain all of these things to Westerners. In those days, there were no Bharatwasis in Australia because they had a racist immigration policy still. That they only, in those days, in the 70s, they only allowed white people to come to Australia. No colored people, no blacks. So it was like the first Negro person I saw in my whole life was in London. You didn't come across them. So that this racist immigration policy, of course, they've changed now. They've opened it right up. There are so many Bharatwasis there now. And I had to explain this gyan, this thing to other people who had no context. It doesn't matter to a Westerner if Shiva is not Shankar. They don't know one nor the other. So who are you going to talk to? Look, Shiva is not Shankar, but you believe it. But it doesn't matter to them. Krishna is not the sermonizer of the Gita. So what, they will say. They don't know Krishna, they don't know the Gita, so it's not relevant for them. But how do you explain it? Lakshmi and Narayan, who are they? They look like some idols for them, not real people. So obviously we had to explain Gyan in a different way to these Westerners. And we did a lot of back and forth with London in those days about how to explain the basic things. But basically, I asked Daddy Janki once, sorry. I was writing this book called New Beginnings. In fact, that was the result of the churnings that I had in those days. So I wrote down the things so that I could understand things. And then I shared that book with others, and that people liked it, and then it got published with Jagdish Bhai's approval. But what is the soul? How is the soul? What is it? How do you get to the experience of being the soul? And I asked Daddy, what are the main things that we have to consider, since the Westerners don't understand anything of the Hindu mythology or the background of Bharat? Nothing. So it's a Christian country. And of course they understand I come from a very Catholic family, and even my aunt, my parents were okay with me being Gyan, but my aunt was very upset that she thought I was doing the devil's work by meditating. This is the idea. They are very narrow-minded. But the whole experience of the soul, and Daddy said, you just have to explain 4 things. Soul, God, drama, and karma. That's enough. Let people understand the soul, let people understand God, let people understand what this drama is here in this world and about their practical lives and karma. And that should be enough for people. Then, of course, we later on, we added a few things, but that was the basic course in those days. In order to explain, basics, sometimes we'd spend more time just talking about the soul. And getting people to have that experience of the soul means to teach them how to be introverted. So the extroverted is easy in the world today. There are so many attractions and distractions and so much going on, and so many stories happening, and so much news going on, so much true news and fake news, everything mixed up. So it's very easy to get distracted. And so you're paying attention to something else, you're looking at something else, you're following something else. Yeah, I think it's quite funny that people have, they have some of their social media outlet, whatever it is, Facebook, TikTok or whatever, Instagram, and they try to find followers. What are they following? This following, this is me at the beach with my dog. This is me at the restaurant with my friends. And they share their photos about their story, and it's just distraction, you could say. It's all distracting. So not to be affected by distractions, I really have to cultivate this going inwards and bringing out the best that I have in myself. For example, let's do a little experience together. Just simple experience. And this is what I taught myself in the beginning. I didn't have any books to read, really. But just some notes. Even in the first year of service, there were no mulis even, because they started to make copies of mulis and send them out in 1977. It was 2 years after I came to Gyan, they started to produce mulis to send out. Otherwise, there were mulis in Hindi, but of course I couldn't read Hindi. So I had to try to make those mulis last. And I had notes from Brother Charlie from London. He would send his notes every week, a packet of his notes from the muli classes in London, where, of course, Daddy and Sister Sudesh and Sister Janti were reading mulis. And so he would take notes from the translations and send them every week. So he was sustaining us through his notes. And so I had to make sense of those notes. There was no one to consult. There were no seniors around. The nearest center was Singapore, and I was in Sydney. It's about 8,000 kilometers away. So I had to try to understand things with Baba directly. So I had to cultivate introversion. I had to go inside. I had to understand myself. And then I had to make sense of what was happening to me. So I started to understand that there are 3 things for meditation purposes. And we can have an experience with each of these, okay? I have to learn to detach, of course, from the physical body. That means detach from the limbs and the senses, the different parts of the body, the legs and the hands and the shoulders and the back, the head. I have to go beyond the physical body. And I can only do that if I go inside. Today's a very hot day here, so it's changed my throat a little bit. It's very hot here. No, that's okay. I've also been speaking a lot today. We just had a session, so I came from one session to come here. So I have to detach from the physical body. And it's not just to detach from the body as it is now. If I really go beyond the senses, which the introverted experience will give me, I have to go beyond the things that I've seen. That's still the world of the senses, the things that are recorded in me that I've seen. I have to go beyond the things that I've heard, because that's also connected with a sense of hearing. So it's not just the ears. Now I have to go beyond everything that I've recorded from what people have said. Because sometimes people say things and they keep echoing in my mind. Oh, so-and-so said this and so-and-so did that. I saw something and I remember that thing. And so I have to go beyond all of the things that are recorded in me from the senses. So it's not just to go beyond the senses as they are now, but all of the recordings. Can you imagine how much is recorded in you from everything you've seen and heard and felt and touched? Even sensations have been recorded in us. We can remember all of the great meals we've had. Even what does a strawberry taste like? I actually had a couple of strawberries at lunch today. I can still taste them, right? So I go beyond all of the tastes, all of the sounds, all of the sights, all of the feelings, all of the sensations. That's also part of going beyond. But being soul consciousness is not just being bodiless. It's also being role-less. I don't have any roles. I have to go beyond all of the roles. So in the same way that I have to develop the experience of being the soul to go beyond the body is not the soul. I have to be the actor and not the role. So go beyond the role of father, mother, even the role that I have in the Brahmin family. I may be a teacher in the center or a center coordinator. These are roles. They're not me. I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm the soul playing that role. In fact, all of those roles are secondary. My real role, and if I really want to go beyond all of those roles, I have to develop my primary role, which is to be an instrument of Baba. I am Baba's instrument in this world. I remember a meeting in which Baba, many times after the Muli, especially in the history hall, can you imagine an Aviak Muli in the history hall? It's quite small, at about 120 seats. After that, if there were some foreigners around, he would call us to the front. And he would talk to us, something extra to the Muli. So I remember once he said, do you know why you have taken birth in those other countries? Baba asked us directly, do you know why you were born in these other places? He said, you were born there to do service. This is your home, Madhavan. Those are your places of service. But your real role is to be Baba's instrument in those places. So you have a good disguise, You were born there because it's very difficult for our sisters to get visas and go to these places. So some of you went there by being born there. And of course, you don't have any visa problems, right? Baba was saying like that. And everyone was saying, yeah, it's right. There's something deep about our background that we have to understand. So I actually have a primary role as Baba's instrument. If I really develop that consciousness, which I have to develop and cultivate it through introversion, if I really have that consciousness that I am Baba's instrument, he sent me here to do his service, to give his message, everything else, Baba said, is secondary. You're married. That's a secondary role. Your first role, primary role, is to be my instrument. Okay, you're an engineer. Secondary role. Your primary role is to act as my instrument. So I am this soul as Baba's instrument, and I have these other roles, like temporary ones. Just as the body's temporary, I have to develop this consciousness of the roles being temporary also. I'm not a father forever. I'm not a mother forever. I'm not an engineer forever. I'm not even a BK forever, or a BK student or teacher forever. I am a soul that has this role. But as my primary role, I'm Baba's instrument, and I can play that role through anything, through any other role. So I have to, when I go inside, I have to see my primary role that Baba has given me. The real reason why I was born in a particular place with a particular family, it wasn't just karma. It was that I went there to play the role as Baba's instrument. So it's wrong just to think, I'm born in this family because of my karmic accounts and I can't do anything about it. No, I took birth to, as Baba sometimes says, you are avatar children. You are incarnations. So you have taken birth in those places, in those roles, temporary roles, in a temporary body, to do my service. So when I go inside, I have to see what Baba has given me to do and not what my karma has given me to do. So that introversion helps me to keep that level of soul consciousness. And Baba says role consciousness is not a good thing. Even BK role consciousness is not a good thing. I am the center in charge. I am the teacher of this. I'm the responsible for the kitchen. I make the tolis. No. I am Baba's instrument. Then those other things. And of course, the third one, more difficult. And we can do some meditation in a minute in these three different experiences. The first one is I'm the soul and not the body. The second one is I'm the actor and not the role. I have a primary role and then secondary roles. And the third one, more difficult, I'm not the story. You know, we get involved in so many situations and relationships and confusions, right? You have a role, you have a relationship, you create a story through that. The story with the wife, the story with the children, the story with the students, the story with your profession, your story at work. All of those things are stories. That I did this and then I did that. I was born, I grew up, my friends, I went to school, maybe university, I studied this, I studied that, I worked, this happened, that happened, and now I'm practicing meditation. No, I'm the soul that's been through 84 stories. I'm not, can you remember the story of your previous birth? If someone showed you a picture of your previous relatives, the relatives from this is your mother, this is your father, these are your brothers and sisters. You look at the photo, you don't recognize anything or anyone. But this one is you. No, I don't recognize anyone in this picture. So in the same way, I'm not my story of my previous birth or births. I'm not the story of this one. I'm not the story of this birth. Yes, I was born in this body. I was born in Australia. And I grew up I had a very good education, and my parents were great. They were very liberal. They didn't put pressure on me for anything or to do anything. And I did study. I worked. I worked in, I studied industrial chemistry finally, and then I worked in a laboratory, kitchen type of thing. I worked in the food industry. Big stories. And then, of course, there was a deeper story that came out. I gave up. I can't handle this. There's something else. So I went from Australia to England by land. I was searching. You imagine, go to Indonesia and then, not the whole thing by land, of course, because Australia is an island. I went to Indonesia, then to Malaysia, then to Thailand, and then to Burma, and then to India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, Bulgaria. And so I ended up in London 6 months later. And in that journey, I saw so many things. And I was searching for something deeper. And finally, I came into Gyan in London. Not right away. I think about 2 years after I arrived, I came into Gyan. And everything made sense. So I was searching. So at the same time I was doing my career, I was growing up, I was having friends, I was playing sports, all sorts of things. All of those stories in our youth, when we were growing up, when we were kids, all of those stories when we started work, all of those stories when we started studying our whatever we studied. But there was something deeper pushing me. I was searching. So there's a deeper story going on. It's the soul trying to search for God. So I started to give attention to that story, and finally I came into Gyan. So in the same way that I'm the body, I'm the soul, and I have a body, I have the senses. I'm also the actor, the instrument of Baba, playing these different roles in this world. But I'm also this soul that has had a longer story. I was a golden age soul, went through the cycle, went through the period of search, copper age, iron age, how many births? 63. So imagine just in the copper and iron ages, 63 stories. And finally, Baba says you became bald rubbing your heads on temple floors. You became tired and you became completely, weak. You lost all of your quality. You lost all of your power. So that's the story. That is the story, not this little one that started 50, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. That's a little story. That's not me. So if people carry their story in their heads. I remember a guy in India, we were at a conference, and I was one of the speakers in Delhi. Was one of those mega conferences that Bridge Mumbai organized. I think it was in Indira Gandhi Stadium. So I was one of the speakers. So I was sitting in the front row, waiting for things to start. And there's this guy sitting next to me, an Indian gentleman. And so we started to talk, and he said, "Oh, I'm so and so." And he gave me his business card, and on his business card there's his name, and then about 15 letters after his name, the degrees and the awards that he'd won. And on the back of the business card was his whole curriculum. He was from such and such a year, who was this, he was that, he was this, he was that. So on one card he fitted his whole life. But can you imagine, he's going everywhere thinking that that's him. I don't know his name, let's say Mr. Mukherjee. I'm Mr. Mukherjee, ex-engineer of I don't know where, and I've got too many degrees and diplomas. That's me. No. You are the soul who plays that role. And it's just a part, it's a tiny part of your whole existence. What did you do in your last birth? No one can answer that question. And the birth before that, and the birth before that. No one can answer that question. But if I associate myself with with my biggest story, I am a soul that came from Paramdam. I went through many births. Sato Raju Tamu. How many times have we had children? How many times have we had mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters? How many times have we, in how many different professions have we worked? How many times have I been the boss, and how many times I haven't been the boss? Probably in the past we were kings and queens as well, right? That's often the problem between Brahmins. They don't get along because there are too many kings in the room or too many queens. But we forget that big picture and we get stuck in the small picture. So that's why introversion helps me to identify who I am as a soul, identify myself as Baba's instrument, and identify my eternal story. That's the real story. That's my real story. So let me live my real story. I've searched and searched and searched, and I found the one I was looking for. Bus, that's it. That's it. I've arrived. I've finished. So let's have a meditation in each of those three instances now, okay? So I want everyone to sit very, very royally on your seat, or if you're sitting on the floor. Back not too rigid, but also not sloppy. Breathing quite natural and normal. Just let your gaze rest at some point in front of you. If you've got a Shiv Baba in front of you, great. Maybe if you want, you can look at the picture behind me, or even look at me in the middle of the forehead. Just remember, first step is just become aware of what's going on around you. Physically, just become physically situated. You can hear the sounds around you in your house or in the street. Maybe you're near the nature, you can hear the sounds of nature. You're aware of your own breathing. It's completely natural breathing. So the in and the out of the breath. You can even maybe hear the sound of your own heart. or feel it. Feel your pulse. So you are, you're not rejecting your body. It's not someone else's body, it's your body. But you are aware, because you've gone inside, you are aware that you are not this physical body, it's just your costume. So I'm the soul. I'm the soul. I use my hands to do things. I use my eyes to see. I use my ears to hear. I use my legs to move around from one place to the other. So I'm very grateful for the body that I have. But I'm not the body. I am the soul. I am this shining point of light behind the eyes, like a few centimeters back from the middle of the forehead. I'm just that tiny point of conscious energy. And this is the body that I have at the moment. However useful it is. But the fact is, I'm the driver. I am the driver of this body. And while going inside, I can see myself. I can see myself in the middle of, back there near the hypothalamus and the pineal gland, in between the two sides of the brain. I'm that tiny point of conscious energy. And my presence in the body gives life to every cell. Can you imagine the trillions of cells that there are in the body? And my presence gives life. The life force goes to every single cell. 50 trillion cells maybe in a normal sized body. But my presence in the body gives life to every single cell. So that light goes out to the whole body, but I'm in one place, like the sun is in one place giving light to the whole solar system. I am in one place in the body giving life to all of the cells. I existed before this body. The body came to being in the womb of my mother. I came on board. Throughout the life of the body, all of the cells have actually been changed several times. So none of them are the original cells. But the original being is me. And I will stay with this body until a particular time in the future when I have to leave it. So as I leave the body, every single cell just switches off because there's no life force anymore. I am the life force. So I really can see that. I can go inside and not just see it, feel it. Feel that I'm the soul using the body. So just feel that for a moment. Feel it. I am seeing. It's not my eyes that are seeing. I'm using the eyes to see. I can hear the sounds because I'm using the ears to listen. But I'm the same one that gets all of the information. I'm the same one that decides what to do. I'm the same one that can remember and analyze some situation. I'm that one. All of the information comes to me and I organize that information. What I want to remember, what I don't want to remember. So just enjoy being the soul. See the soul. That's what introversion means. Look inside and feel who you really are. Okay? Then the second one, let's go to the second experience. I have, through this body, I have developed many roles. They weren't original, except some of them, because as soon as I'm born, I am someone else's son. There's a mother and a father, and then of course there'll be brothers and sisters. So as soon as I am born, I already have some roles. But throughout the life, I developed others according to what I studied, according to the experiences I had, according to the preferences I selected. I developed other roles. I took on responsibilities because of those roles. But they were not original. Even before I was born, I really didn't have the initial roles. I came here for a special purpose. I was born for a special purpose, not just to be someone's son or daughter or someone's wife or husband. That happened. But I was born for a special purpose, to be Baba's instrument, to be someone who carries his message. That's the real role that I have. So let me just remember that that's my real role. All of these other things are like puppets. They are little things compared to my bigger role. So though I may have children or wives, husbands, friends or colleagues or whatever, due to my roles, my real role is as Baba's messenger. Just think about how great that makes you feel. So you can go inside and you can just enjoy that role. Enjoy the fact that Baba has called you. He called you, not someone else. I have a role as Baba's son, or Baba's child, actually. I have a role as Baba's student. I have a role of doing his service. These are my real roles. Before any other role, that's what I'm Baba's child, I'm Baba's student, I'm Baba's follower. He's my Satguru, my teacher, my father, my mother. So these primary relations are what count, not the secondary ones. Like Daddy the other day asked a question that Baba asked, how many children do you have? Here, even if you're not a mother or a father, you have a child. You name Shiv Baba. So just enjoy the fact that Baba's called you to do his special work. That's your role. So play your primary role. You don't have to worry about the secondary roles. They will happen naturally. Okay? Third experience. Just think about what happened since you were born in this body and the roles that you've developed. All of that has become a story, that I did this and I did that and I met this one and I met that one. I had some difficult experiences with some friends or some colleagues or some family members. I suffered this, I suffered that. I studied this, I studied that. So a big story has happened. A big story has happened. Now, my real story is connected to what's happened over my 84 births. Not just my story is a big one. And the things that have happened in this particular birth are very small. Not so important if I look at the big picture. So just enjoy the fact that you have a big story. You were with Baba in the soul world. You came down in the golden age, and you went through different births in a very royal and elevated heaven. Then you came to the Silver Age. It was sort of a semi-heaven, another lot of stories. 8 stories at least, 8 stories in the Golden Age, 12 in the Silver Age. And then Copper Age, you got lost. And you started to look for yourself. And you started to try to find yourself in other people or in other images. You tried to find God in the nature or in other, in idols, but he wasn't there. So you've had a long story of search even. And finally, after 63 births of wandering around, you came into Gyan. So what a story is that? That's your big story, not the little one that happened since you were born in this body. That's just a little story. So just enjoy your eternal story, your eternal role, and your eternal identity. If you've got a Shiv Baba near you, just look at that point of light. And just think, I'm like that. This is me. I'm like that. Just as Shiv Baba is the ocean of peace and love and happiness and so on. Well, I'm not the ocean, but the peace that's in me and the love that's in me and the happiness that's in me are the same quality, not the same quantity, but the same quality. So you see how important it is to be able to go within and it's quite a paradox. You go within at the same time you go beyond. You go within and you go beyond because you take on your eternal characteristics. The soul is eternal. That means I'm eternal. I have an eternal story. And I have a primary role that's connected to God. So enjoy, right? We can now come back. Could you understand? Did you go on a journey with me? Did you? Yeah, you can signal. Just give your thumbs up. It's very nice. I'm seeing a whole lot of people in front of me. Very lovely. You see, even this that's happening, even the fact that we can use such technology, it's born out of 2 things. The ingenuity, the genius of human beings have developed the technology on one side, but on the other side, it's brought us together for our eternal roles and stories. So Avyakt Parivar is serving at 2 levels. It's sort of reaching out and bringing us together. All over the world, there are people I can see online. And so it's just an excuse to love Baba more, isn't it? Yeah? Wonderful. I think we're going to be coming up for the 7 o'clock meditation in a few minutes. Pardon? Yeah, today is offering of Borg, so we shouldn't miss. So wonderful to see you all. I think you can stay online for the meditation, which will start in a couple of minutes. So then I'm also going downstairs. It's downstairs or here? Downstairs. So I'm going downstairs for the Borg offering. So stay online, because Didi will be coming on. They're setting up down there. Just stay online and stay connected and be with Baba and enjoy the confluence age. Okay? So Om Shanti. Wonderful.
Thank you, Bhai.
Recording stopped.